Hi, I'm Mark Wybrow, and this is a very special electronic cafe, the channel for the lovers of electronic music.
And I am Andy McNabb, so let's get started. So welcome to another special interview edition of the Electronic Cafe. Before I go into a bit more detail on that, I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please push that red button. If you have friends who love music like you do, or like Mark and I do, please push that button. We're also on some social channels now, like Instagram, and you'll see us on our Facebook page, where like-minded people are just talking about all things cool music-wise and just sharing good stuff. In this episode, Mark and I were fortunate enough just a couple of days ago to have a chat with the fantastic James Atkin, frontman of EMF and a solo artist in his own right. He is a charming man, smart, amazing musician. We just had a ball and could have stayed there for hours really and just talked about everything. He's just an absolute gem. So we're really glad you're going to get a chance to meet him and see the conversation Mark and I had with him. So sit back and enjoy our chat with the fantastic James Atkin.
Right, she's still shouting at me. 1 sec.
Hi everyone, welcome to a very special edition of the Electronic Cafe. Our special guest is responsible for singing one of the biggest hits of all time, Unbelievable with EMF. He's going to have massive success with the band, clocking up a #1 American single, platinum album sales, a very prestigious Ivor Novello nomination for songwriting. We're delighted to welcome to the Electronic Cafe, Mr. James Atkin. James, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on.
Hi James, thanks for taking the time.
It's really good to see you. Mate, July this year, 30th anniversary of your massive song. One of the biggest hits of all time. To me, it seems like 5 years ago. I mean, does it feel like 30 years ago to you?
When you say it like that, 30 years does sound a hell of a long time, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Sometimes it does feel like another lifetime ago, but then it's kind of been with me non-stop for those 30 years.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's not like it's gone away and it keeps popping its head up. It's just there, isn't it? It's like,
yeah. What do you remember that time? Like to get a US #1 is an amazing achievement. Do you remember what you felt or how you celebrated? Or is the reason you can't remember it?
Yeah, I can remember bits of it. I mean, in reflection, we were touring America at the time when it actually hit #1. So, I mean, there's a few things I remember. I remember writing a postcard to a friend and it took me a few weeks to get, because I was on tour, I was all over the shop, to actually get it into a mailbox.
Yeah.
And I kept crossing out like, oh, we're at 110, 25, number 4, number 1, and by the time I got to send this postcard, we were number 1. So, and we were working it in America at the time, doing all the stuff you do, like the radio, the signing at the record stores, and that's what I kind of remember. It was a whirlwind, but we were working hard and we were partying hard as well.
You nice young guys, you should be able to enjoy the success, right?
Definitely.
Did you spend much time in the States, like really trying to break it, or was you just there for promo?
I mean, luckily, I think it was a song that kind of broke itself, but we did 3 major tours, which lasted about 6 weeks. And I remember that one when it was climbing the Billboard, we were playing every night on a bus. We'd do a gig, we'd do a meet and greet, we'd do an after show, we'd get on the bus, sleep, get to the next town, do it all again. And it was relentless. Thankfully, we were young and we had a lot of energy. I mean, it's a strange place breaking a record in America because it's vast. You know what I mean?
Huge. Yeah, amazing.
The things you say, your past just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable.
Amazing. So, mate, I mean, obviously, one of the reasons we got you on here is because you've now released 5 albums since 2015?
I think you've been pretty prolific since 2015, haven't you? You've had sort of 5 solo albums out.
Yeah.
And especially we must mention that. This one, which is fantastic, which is your latest one.
No.
Songs of Resistance. Congratulations on that. That's a really, really good album. And it's good to see that one was picked up with, 6 Music, and people picked it up on its own and started playing it. And a lot of people genuinely love that album.
Yeah, I mean, the last 5 solo albums, it's been a learning curve, really, and I think I've been improving and progressing all the time, and I've managed to nail it a little bit on this album.
Definitely.
There was quite a few years before 2015 when I was in the wilderness. I wasn't kind of doing much. So when you're saying I was, quite prolific in that, it's only recently I've got my shit together, really.
You certainly have, mate. You had a little after that tour in America. It sounded like you needed some time, or so. Glad you come back with some amazing material. Absolutely amazing material.
So how has lockdown been for you? Has it been productive, or even more productive, or I know you've been doing your Tonight Matthew series on YouTube, which is a really great thing, and then you and your wife do these covers of songs on your channel, which are really great. I mean, has lockdown been good for you? Yeah,
it's been great. I mean, we found our own entertainment. I mean, me and my wife doing tunes, that's just us getting in the studio on a Friday evening. What are we going to do? Let's do a song. Let's record it. Let's video it. That's fun. The Tonight Matthews, that was kind of born out of when the lockdown first happened and we had loads of gigs cancelled. I spoke to Richard, my friend from Pop League itself, with Mace, and, kind of discovering creative ways of still being able to make some music. So we did one and it was fun. And then we just kind of got our phone books out, just like, right, let's call all our friends that we've met over the years. And it kind of just grew to the point where we got some really crazy people. Rick Wakeman, it's kind of bizarre. But yeah, there's a few, that was good. And lockdown has been good. I mean, I know it's been a struggle for a lot of people, but we're pretty isolated where we are anyway in the Yorkshire Dales, and we certainly don't go out clubbing and pubbing and have a massive social life anymore. So it's been fine. It's been fine. Like I say, you find creative ways of doing things, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I'd say the one that stood out for me, I played through all of those Tonight Matthews. The New Order one, Blue Monday, I thought was unbelievably good. unbelievably good. They were all good, but that was just brilliant. And the fact that it's for such good calls is, yeah, it's commendable. But yeah, he's really enjoying those, buddy. I hope to see more of it. Really good. So obviously, you know, you're a very creative person, but what music sort of made you set up early, you know, in your younger years to go, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is kind of, any bands in particular that sort of hit you like a thunderbolt?
Well, when I first really got into music, I was a complete indie kid. I loved the Smiths.
Yeah.
Used to love bands like the House Martins, Echo and the Bunnymen. I was complete indie schmindy sort of kid. And then by the late 80s, electronic music was kind of hitting, and that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. So yeah, there's always been a passion there. Don't know, it's strange. I think I lived, you know, living in a good time where music genres, there was lots of stuff going on. I mean, I don't really follow too much new music now, but it seemed then, you know, if you look at how many different genres there was in the 80s, you know, and in the 90s, it used to just be instant change and exciting. And I kind of lived through that, and I kind of just absorbed it. It was a bit of a melting pot.
Well, I think we're older than you, but I mean, I remember it being when I was at school and growing up. I mean, me and Andy had known each other for years, but it used to be very tribal. I mean, you had the Soul Boys, and you had the New Romantics, and you had the Mods, and you had, you know, the indie kids, and you could tell
Goths.
Just the Goths. You could just tell by looking at someone which camp they fitted into. Whereas like now, it just seems to be a bit generic neutral, where just there isn't. I don't know if I'm turning into my dad, and everything sounds like dull, but it just sounds dull.
We've got to be a bit dangerous. It's dangerous that we are sounding a bit like old fogies. I mean, I'm sure young people have got their own thing going on. You can't believe you're older than me anyway, Mark.
Mark.
Andy, I didn't say anything about you. You look.
No, you didn't have to, mate. Everyone can see. I'm clearly older than you.
Yeah,
I'm like you, mate. Sort of mixture of indie and, you know, Joy Division's a Kraftwerk, Bowie's my kind of, so probably a stage back. But yeah, I get it. But Mark's right. There isn't that. I mean, the thing is that music's there. There's new artists bringing this stuff. It's just not so easy to find. I think that's true. You've got to look harder for it, which is why people like me sit going through Electronic Sound magazine or constantly on YouTube finding bands and then just posting it, because, you know, it's there. Because a lot of people say the 80s was shit. Well, a lot of it was, but actually the really good stuff was really good in the 80s, you know, and I think that's the thing. So
and I was watching the other week, I was watching an old rerun of Top of the Pops. And I mean, me and Andy was in bands, and we kind of nearly got signed a couple of times, and, you know, we had residencies in London. We played a lot of gigs and stuff. And my one regret is that I didn't play Top of the Pops like at least just once to play Top of the Pops. You guys did. So what was that? What was that like?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, that was kind of a seminal show, wasn't it?
Exactly.
My first experience there, I was walking across the soundstage whilst the Lars were doing There She Goes.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty special. And then Clint Boone from the Inspirals kind of made a beeline for me and took me under his wing a little bit, because he was a little bit older than me. But he took me up to the BBC canteen, and there was like Shaun Ryder there, and there was a little bit of beef between the Manchester bands. And I was just like, what is going on here? It was like, wow. So yeah, that was my introduction to Top of the Pops.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it was a seminal show, and to have appeared on it, and just to meet these other artists in the cafe or in the corridors, whatever, it must have been fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was kind of weird because it was a changing point, Top of the Pops, where I think they changed the studios from Elstree or from White City, and then I can't remember if I mimed some of them, and then some of them you did a live vocal. So I think most of them were mimed actually, which was kind of a new thing.
Some people did it better than others.
Some people on purpose didn't.
Yeah, some were like a Japanese dub film, didn't they? Yeah, who was the one that did do it on purpose? There was one artist.
There's a Marillion one, wasn't it?
Popped over, didn't they, for a song? Noel mimes Liam's vocals.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. There was one that was really obvious. It was just hilarious.
I think a Marillion did one where he had a sore throat and he had the words written and the music was going, but he was just holding like balls with the words on. So James, obviously your music is electronic. You've got an indie bass growing up and stuff. What would be your desert island disc if you was trapped somewhere? What's your one album that you would take?
Oh, one album. Well,
or two albums, maybe.
Yeah, we're being generous.
3 albums. Can I have 3 albums?
Yeah, okay, 3.
As it's you, sir.
All right. So I am an indie kid. I love electronic music, but I've also got a few albums that I just keep coming back to all the time. One of them's, this is probably going to make you laugh. One of them's Joni Mitchell Blue. I love that album.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Yeah. And
probably Harvest by Neil Young. So
wow,
I'm a bit of a country folk. Maybe I'm not into indie music and electronic.
Maybe your next album is gonna.
But I think it's also music provokes memories. And growing up at my parents' house, I used to have like Simon and Garfunkel wafting up the stairs, Beatles back catalogue, and
amazing.
They're kind of quite special, but also I'm gonna have more. Probably Technique by New Order is my favourite go-to album, and I still listen to that now.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating you talk about those previous albums because they're all amazing artists. It's really weird because we interviewed a guy called Atlas, who's like he's a bit. If you heard his stuff, and I said to you, who do you think influenced? You're going to say Moby and all those kind of exactly the same thing. Van Morrison, Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah, you go, wow, Rusty Egan, right? Electronic pioneer. I said to Mark, if I was to put my house in, I'd say it's going to be Trans-Europe Express or Radioactivity by Crawford. Astral Weeks by Van Morrison was the album. So I think, but it's lovely, as you say, all those albums, although they're not necessarily in the genre you perform, they've had a massive impact in your output. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I really enjoyed listening to them.
Yeah, I bet. No, they're class acts, mate. Absolute class acts. Really.
But equally, going back to family and growing up and stuff, and you hear some albums, it's funny how music can take you right back to a moment where you can actually kind of like, you can taste where you was at that time instantly.
Yeah, totally. Music does that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's emotional. It's so emotional.
When I hear a song like Papua New Guinea or something like that, it just takes me back to being in a field in the 90s, sun coming up and stuff like that. So you're right, Mark.
Exactly.
Spot on, mate. And I think for Bluebell Knoll cocktail tunes, I was in Crete with my little Walkman at the time watching sunsets and that music, and it's, as you say, you get those amazing memories. Music's so powerful like that, it really is.
Now the party's over.
You're a school music teacher, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. So do the kids, so the people in your school and the kids, they know about your legacy and stuff? Do they just kind of go, "You were really famous, sir. You're really famous, sir"?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it kind of puts you in your place a little bit because you're not really relevant to school kids at that age. So it's not like I go in there going, "Oh yeah, I was a 90s pop star and I'm making it means nothing to them. You're not on their cool scale at all. Parents' evening can get a little bit interesting because it's obviously the parents' generation. Parents are looking a bit younger now, which is, which is scary again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit of kudos. I think I've been doing it a long time now. At the start, it was a novelty.
Did they know when they employed you, or did?
We're certainly qualified to be a music teacher, right?
No, it's just it's funny. It's funny if this kind of caught up with you a little bit while you was there and nobody knew about EMF.
No, I mean, I didn't get the job because I was in EMF.
I wasn't suggesting that. I'm saying, did they know?
No, well, I kind of fell into teaching. It's I started helping another teacher out do some composition and coursework, and I kind of just fell into the job, and I went off and did a teaching degree. I was kind of a little bit lost what to do. I did envisage moving to the Yorkshire Dales in the country, just retiring, having a nice life and just making music, but I kind of just felt like I needed something to do. But yeah, it's funny. I think of myself, it's weighing up two careers. Sometimes I think of myself more of a teacher, and then sometimes I think, oh no, I'm a musician. So it's a good balance. It's a nice thing to do.
It must be satisfying though with the kids if you've got certain students that really picking, you can see they got an ear, and because you teach music, right, and seeing kids pick stuff up, it must be very satisfying. Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's great. I mean, I've obviously got my strengths where I can kind of get compositions and music out of people. Yeah. I think, I mean, I get away with a lot because, your traditional music teacher would be all music theory based and classical, and let's get a wind orchestra together and all that. And I'm just like, no.
I wish you were my music teacher.
I managed to persuade the school to buy me like a Mac computer suite, and I just do things like remixes, podcasts, and just things that engage kids these days. Not sitting there playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a recorder.
Well, that's the thing. I think I got chucked out of recorder class for miming, which I'm quite proud of because
miming.
I think they walked around the class and they realised there was no noise coming out of my recorder, so I got chucked out for miming. But I think even the best recorder player in the world, it doesn't sound too great. But to be fair, our music lessons at school were, I mean, so uninspiring. I mean, me and Andy are massively into music, and that didn't even inspire us. It's all like triangle work or theory behind orchestrations and stuff, which wasn't very stimulating. And as a kid growing up, you want to do something a little bit contemporary, or bring a few samples.
I wish I was 40 years younger. James was my music teacher. Blimey.
Yeah, I mean, I let him get away with murder as well, and because the kids have been through a lot recently with all the lockdowns.
Exactly.
And times are tough. So, I mean, I do let them get away with murder, and I have to do secondary school things like go and tell kids to stop smoking and chase them around the playground and stuff like this. And it's kind of, if they could have seen me 30 years ago in America.
Why are you telling me off?
Yeah, a bit of a hypocrite, really.
I think it's all part of growing older. It's part of the job. James, when you're writing an album, are you writing continuously, and then when you've got a number of songs, you bring an album out, or do you write for a project?
No, I do write continuously. I try and break it up by doing a bit of remixes or some bits for other people, but there's kind of a long process from finishing an album to actually getting it released. It takes 2 or 3 months to get the records pressed and all that sort of stuff. So whilst I'm hanging around for that, I usually start on new material, and then I kind of just, if there's a couple of tunes that stand out, I make that the angle that I go towards and kind of mold it around that. I'm lucky that I've got a little home studio, so I don't really need to be booking studios, places or spaces. My wife lets me get in here a lot. She complains about it, but it's Yeah.
Sometimes you just go in there and put your feet up and read a book or something.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So you because I know some of the artists we've spoken to, like you talk about vinyl releases, it can take months now, can't it, because of the supply problem?
Yeah, the supply problem is terrible at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, for the last ones we had to wait ages. Yeah, I don't know where they're pressed up. I think it's some plants in Eastern Europe or something. But
yeah, because most of America got rid of their vinyl pressing plants, didn't they? Apparently, so
is that what happened? Was it?
Yeah, apparently.
And there was a big fire in a chemical factory that is a specific chemical that goes into vinyl production, which is it's like the perfect storm. I think lockdown, the chemical going up in flames, and the factories not being available. So I think it's a perfect storm that there's a big delay on vinyl production. This
is really worrying.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
That's really cocked up on my plans for the next release.
Well, maybe you might be a bit luckier, buddy. I mean, some labels have got certain agreements, so you might be okay. But it's just, we just like me and Matt. Oh wow, it is. Yeah. So next release. So what's on the horizon? New album coming out soon, or?
Well, we are writing, and when I say we, me and Ian are doing an EMF album. So. Oh,
awesome.
Yeah, we've been working away at that. I'd like to say for the last few months, but it's been for the last 25 years. But,
it's going to be amazing then.
Well, you'd say that. I mean, we haven't used it. We've kind of got an angle and a bit of focus now. So
amazing.
We're on it. We've got the 12 tracks written. We've got them demos. We need to knock a few into shape.
Because I read this was going to be an EMF album at one stage. Is that true?
Well, this is what happens. I mean, every so often I get together with Ian and we write a bunch of tunes and we say, let's do an EMF album. And then for some reason, it never, ever comes to fruition just because it's quite hard. But we are going to do it this time.
Amazing.
Because I wrote all these songs with Ian and then I says, look, Ian, it doesn't know what we're going to get. We have some stuff going on in the band, some personnel stuff. And so I says, Ian, I'm just going to do it as a solo album again. And Ian's cool with that. I mean,
yeah, he's like you. You're both very prolific songwriters. I mean, he's written stuff. Is it sort of? Is it Prodigy, Florence and the Machine, those kind of people? Is that right? So
yeah, he's written a lot of songs for other people, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's great. I mean, every time I speak to him, and then he goes, "Oh, I've just been working with FK Twigs or something like this." I was going, "What do you mean? You just mentioned that?" He goes, it just goes up. He just does all these things, and it's kind of. Who was he was working with? I can't quite remember now, but it was just like, what? The Prodigy, one of my favourite bands of all time.
Yeah.
And I only found out, a couple of years later, he goes, oh, yes, I did sit down and write some songs with the Prodigy. I'm just like,
having you two back together is going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear that. I'm guessing you can't tell us when it's going to be out. Well, I guess we've just spoken about, who knows, but it's good to know that it's on its way.
Well, it's hopefully going to be for the spring, but now you've mentioned the vinyl.
I hope I'm wrong. I haven't put too much of a downer on it, but I mean, you probably know better than me. But just what people have been telling us.
Right.
Well, fingers crossed. But looking forward to that, buddy. Obviously, and obviously we'll tell everyone about it when you've got launch dates and stuff. Let us know, and we'll share it with everyone. And talking of artists, I mean, we talked about some old artists. Anyone new out there right now that you're loving that you can tell our viewers about that makes you sit up and go like that? Any current artists that are kind of
okay? Well, you mentioned this just before we went online. Here was Working Men's Club because they're just up the road from me.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're in Hepton Bridge, and we're just down the. Well, when I say down the valley a bit, down a few different valleys, but they're great. We saw those just before lockdown, and when I bought the album, I love that album.
I do as well.
It's so raw. It's just like it's kind of quite outrageous. All the references in there, to your Joy Division and stuff. It's just
Joy Division, Fall. There's a lot of Fall in there.
That's it, exactly. So I've really enjoyed that. I'm not very good at keeping up with new music. My wife is fantastic at sitting me down and playing me new stuff. Where I would just go back and put The Queen is Dead by the Smiths on if I had the chance.
That's a great album. But it's funny because Working Men's Club, I made that my number one. Me and Mark do a top 30 of each year, 2020. Yeah, so we did top, we had an artist on another channel saying his ambition to get in our top 30 in Electronic Cafe. It was a nice plug from him. So, we did that's how we started talking to some of the artists, because they were saying, thank you for promoting us. There's no one else really pushing us out there. And yeah, Working Men's Club was my number one album. It's amazing.
What did you have as number two?
It was Nation of Language, which was Mark's number one. And what was the other?
What we did, because we buy so much music, we did a top 30, but effectively we did 15 each. Okay. So, and then we did 15, 15, 14, 14, all the way down. So my number one was Nation of Language album, and Andy's was Working Men's Club. So, I'm trying
to think. My top three was Salt was number two. Oh, John Fox, funny enough. I mean, the guy's 70 odd, but the album we did last year, Howl, HOWL, incredible piece of work. Really good. But there are some great new synth bands out, like Empathy Test. Really like. I'll send you some links to some stuff after this for you to check out and see what you think, James.
I should probably go back and have a watch of some of the podcasts now, because it sounds like you guys are really passionate about music, and especially new music, which is really refreshing. Yeah,
because obviously we love. I mean, obviously bands like EMF, Joy Division, Japan, you name it. But there's so many good new bands out there that, as we said, that just don't get any show. But I'll send you a link to the top 30 shows worth watching, because you'll see a lot of new stuff there. And there is some great music. It's just finding the bloody stuff. That's the problem, because there's not many platforms.
There's just lots there, doesn't it? You have to sift through it, and it's kind of a bit overkill of. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because everyone can make a record now and release it, can't they? So
that's a really good point, actually. I mean, it's
saturated, isn't it?
Exactly. So, Jane, when you write and record it all yourself, don't you? You don't use a producer. You don't use anyone. You just do it yourself.
I just do it all myself. Just I learned a long time ago that to get stuff done and finished and out there, you kind of just got to rely on yourself, rather than it's a means to getting it finished, really. So I had to learn how to make records. So, you kind of writing it, recording it, and then producing it, and then mixing it. But I love doing it. I'm very
but it shows in that, mate. It really does show in that.
And then I get it mastered at the end. So I've got a guy. I don't know if you remember the Low Fidelity All Stars. Do you remember the Lo-Fi's?
Yeah.
Martin from the Lo-Fi's. I send him the finished mix and he masters it for me. I kind of really trust him, because sometimes you send it off to get mastered and they put too much bass on it, or it comes back different. And he kind of just gets it how I want.
How you want.
Well, they call it the black art, don't they? The mastering, because a lot of people think they can do it, but not many people can actually do it. And we've mastered some of our stuff, and the difference between the mix you send them and the master that comes back, that's polished and just sounding amazing. But I mean, you've got some great songs on your Songs of Resistance album. I think Radar is probably one of my favourite songs. I think that's a really great song. Did I hear somewhere that was written for your son or one of your children?
In a kind of way, keep me on your radar. My kids are growing up quick. It seems, I don't know if you're parents or not or anything, but
no, we are.
It seemed like they were toddlers 5 minutes ago, and now my eldest is taller than me and just sits in his room all day and doesn't respect me.
Yeah, I've got two girls that do the same. My youngest was 18 and my oldest is 20 in November, and I'm like, as you say, it just where did that go?
Yeah.
I think Radar's a great song. West Country Raver's a great song. And I think they've still got that great melody, hooky, big choruses, which is
massive.
Which is, just sounds incredible. And I think they're great songs. They need to be heard by a wider audience, I think.
Oh, thank you, Mark. That's really sweet of you. I mean, sat here, you can see behind me, I'm just in my studio, just making music, and to hear it's getting out there and people are hearing it. It's like,
that's great.
I mean, it's a bonus. I mean, I'd do it anyway, but you know, it's just like, wow.
I got something to say, so I put it out across the airwaves. Ricochet, ricochet. I just called in to say I'm a long time listener, first time correspondent. I'm a long time listener, first time correspondent. I'm a long time listener.
Here's a bit of a oddball question. Table for 4 for Mr. Atkin. Who would sit with you for dinner? Who would you have?
Oh wow. Probably have Jimi Hendrix.
Nice.
Doug Stanhope. You know that American comedian? Do you know him?
No.
Oh, he's like this amazing. I'm kind of obsessed with him at the moment. Doug Stanhope.
Was he stand up or?
Yeah, he's a stand-up. It's like Bill Hicks. Sort of.
No, Bill Hicks, yeah.
Yeah.
He's similar to that, one of these hard drinking, smoking American comedian. But for some reason, he's kind of got a way of weaving through the truth.
Right.
That's worth checking out. And I'm sorry. So Hendrix, Doug. I'd like a female. Let's have a think. We're all men at your meal, dear. Amy Winehouse, would she be up for the crack still?
Yeah, I think she would be. Yeah, sorely missed actually.
Yeah, and then I'd probably have Zach actually. My old bass player. If I could have people dead or alive, because I'd like to have a chat with him.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a good table, mate. Very good table.
It's quite odd, isn't it?
and dinner aside, what about music? Are there any artists that you'd love to work with? That you just thought, God, I think I could do something with them. I'd love to work with them. Is there anyone that sort of had that effect on you?
I always get really jealous when I hear a Chemical Brothers record that has an male vocalist on it. I always wanted a phone call from Tom and Ed saying, "Come on, James, come and sing," but they haven't. I'd love to sing on a really big.
You do a great job on that as well, because I'm a massive fan of the Chemical Brothers.
Or a Gorillaz track or a Chemical Brothers track with a vocal. That'd be really good.
Tom Ed, if you're watching, did you hear that? Sign him up. Sort it out. Mate, seriously, that would be a great combination. That really would. Love to hear that. Let's see if we can make that happen.
So James, on your Aries Pagan album, you gave that away initially to raise money for the Emergency Musicians Fund, as well as your Tonight Matthews and things like that, which is
very cool.
Really great and admirable thing to do.
It was the timing of the release, because I was just about to release it when the pandemic hit and the country went shut down and no one knew what was going on, and you know, people were worried about the future, weren't they, and their jobs and stuff. And I just produced this album. Obviously, my overheads are at a minimum because I do it here, sat in my studio at home, so there's no real costs. Everything was in place, everything was ready to go, and then I thought, I just feel it doesn't feel right charging people 15 quid for a record, you know. So I thought, I'm just going to give it away. But then I thought, well, I won't give it away. I'll give it away and people can donate to help musicians charity. And I wasn't expecting any, but I thought people would just download it and take it. And music gets a little bit throwaway these days, doesn't it? But people did contribute. Most people contributed the same amount of what an album they would pay for an album, and it went to charity, which is really good. So that was my first thing with Help Musician charity. But then the Tonight Matthews, we'd done a couple. I don't think we did it from the off, but then we thought we're getting loads of views and loads of hits, and people are loving this. It seems silly not to just put a little tag on the bottom saying, you know, donate to whatever. So yeah, my charity work.
I mean, it's a brilliant gesture and really admirable, and it's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I got a lot of enjoyment out of doing it all as well. So it's not, you know,
great tracks. I mean, I looked at about 6 of them over the last week or so, and they're all brilliant, mate. All brilliant. So looking forward to more of those. Looking more to the EMF album, which is amazing.
James, a quick question.
Yeah, go on.
I'm curious here. On your Popcorn Storm album, please tell me that's you inside the bunny suit.
Yeah.
On the cover,
on the album sleeve, it's not
Yeah.
me. In the video, I was walking around in a bunny suit. A photo shoot thing.
excellent.
Yeah, no, I went and hired a bunny suit from a fancy dress shop in Keighley in West Yorkshire. The lady was looking at me a bit strange. She says, whatever you do, don't get it muddy, because it had like fur paws and everything. And we went up onto the Dales with a, what do you call it, a drone.
Yeah.
And I was just walking around the fields, and I got absolutely, I trashed it. Well, luckily I put it in the washing machine. It came out all right. And I gave it back to her, and she didn't think much of it. But then I looked on their Facebook page; they'd actually linked the video, so they'd found it somehow.
Oh, right, okay.
So, yeah, they got
Well, I'm pleased about that, because I like you suffered for your art a little bit there, and it was you.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, James, thank you very much for your time today.
Oh,
Yeah, really enjoy it. It's lovely to meet you, buddy. Really lovely to meet you.
yeah, thanks, Andy, and you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this going out. I wish we had longer. This is great.
Well, it's nice just to chat about music.
Yeah, I used to shy away from. In EMF, I did no interviews whatsoever, and it's kind of still quite a new thing to me. I know I've been releasing records for the last 5 years, but I very rarely do these things. So thank you.
We're honoured, mate, and honestly, it's an absolute joy to meet. And I know we mentioned before we start recording, you're doing some gigs at the end of the year. Any tours potentially in the pipeline for next year, or when we kind of get back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few EMF gigs at the end of this year. We're gonna try and do a little club day in the spring, and then hopefully some summer festivals and some US dates. And then towards the end of next year, we were going to team up and do like a double bill or a triple bill with some other bands of our ilk. And
Nice.
at that time, I can't really say the name of the bands just in case it doesn't come up.
Sure, no, I understand
But
that.
if you think of EMF, but you think of a couple of other bands that I like,
If you gave me 10 minutes, I'll probably guess them.
you could probably guess straight away. So, I mean, that'll be a nice thing to do. I think
That'd be amazing.
it's quite a sensible thing to do these days.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let us know when you can announce the dates and who you with. We'll absolutely promote the hell out of them on our channel, and we'll definitely be there as well, cheering you guys on, because I think what you do is great, buddy. And thank you, and thanks for making great music. Seriously, it's brilliant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheers, James. Thanks a lot for your time.
Great, guys. Keep up the good work as well.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, and have a look at our top 30 show just to check out some new tunes and see what you think.
I will do. I might sit down, buy some beers, and I've got quite a big sound system in the studio. I don't know if you can see it behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Like a big 18-inch sub down there. So I'll have a...
Nice.
God, can we come and join you? Because we've never heard it. We've never heard a sound that good.
I always wanted to live somewhere where I had a big sound system I could play loud music. But now I've got no one to party with, so please come along.
Love to, mate. But listen, honestly, absolute joy. Can't wait to see you live, and looking forward to everything you're going to be doing with EMF and your own career. It's brilliant.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, mate.
Right,
Cheers.
take care.
Keep in touch. Take care.
Cheers,
Bye.
buddy.
Go out and join myself.
So that's it for another fantastic episode of Electronic Cafe. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation that Mark and I had with the incredible James Atkin. Again, James, thank you, mate. Absolute pleasure. Hope to see you soon. And of course, Mark and I want to see you guys soon on the next episode of Electronic Cafe. Stick with us. There's lots of good stuff coming, lots of good prizes to win, some more great interviews. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks again, James. That was absolutely brilliant, mate. Thank you. Hopefully this episode shines a light on James's brilliant solo work, so please do head over to James's Bandcamp page to investigate further. I'll put the link down below. Thanks again for watching. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.